What is going on, everybody? Back at the work table. Wanted to go over a few things. Getting things set up to start with some scale modeling. Three categories. Basic scale models, which will be mostly military vehicles. The Mobile Suit Gundam kits. I have a friend that lives in Japan. She talked me into trying a couple of them. She travels back and forth for work. I'm looking forward to trying them, but it is something I've never done before. Also, some scale figures, characters from movies, TV shows, and a little couple anime characters. She sent me a couple of those kits as well. I'll go over those separately. They kind of weird me out a little bit. I've talked to her about them, but we'll get into that later. This video basically go over some of the tools if you've never built a scale model, if it's something you've always wanted to try. A few of the basic tools and tools that come in useful but you don't really have to have. I figured we'd go over some of that. I built models for many years. Haven't built one for probably about 6 years now. Kind of looking forward to getting back into it. Of course, the basics. You've got your hobby knife. It's just a X-Acto number 11 blade. Very sharp. Be careful with sharp objects. Don't just be careful. Take your time when you're using them. They are very sharp. As you can see by this thing, I've had this thing for quite a while. It's a little bit abused. And of course, cement. This is, to me, is extra thin cement. Very good stuff. I also have their regular cement. Also good stuff. And I also have Testors plastic model cement. It's basically the same as Tamiya's, just a different label. And also, if you're working with ABS, that takes a different kind of cement. I found plastic weld works pretty good for the ABS. The brand is not important. The liquid cements are much better than the little gooey stuff in the tube. You know, the old Testors stuff. I don't know, do they even make that anymore? I don't know, but just make sure you have ventilation in the room. I have a little desktop fan. When I'm working on models, I turn the little fan on. It's just a little 6-inch diameter desktop fan, just to keep air circulating. You don't want to keep breathing the chemicals. The stuff is pretty nasty, but it's part of the hobby. Also, now this is an old set of modeling nippers. I believe these are Tamiya, but I'm not sure. They're very old. These are the ones I use on my RC stuff, which the RC stuff will still be the main focus of the channel, but I just figured I'd throw the other stuff that I mess around with in there as well. And as you can tell, I don't rush to get anything done. I just enjoy the process of the tinkering and everything else. But there are better. You can pick up nippers like these at most hobby shops. I think you can even get them at arts and craft stores, fairly cheap. But I have a pair of Tamiya 123 nippers. That's the part number 74123. These are a little expensive, around $30 to $40, depending on where you buy them from. If you hunt around, you can find them for right around $30. But they are very good quality. I'm not sure if you can see through the plastic. They are a thinner blade for cutting the parts off the sprues. We'll get into that a little more later. In fact, if you'll hang on for a second, I'll get a sprue and I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. Alright. Thank you for your patience. Now this is a sprue. I don't know how well it's showing up from the Tamiya M3 Stewart kit. M3 Stewart? Yeah, M3 Stewart light tank. Of course, you can see the parts in here. Now the larger diameter around the outside and the larger ones on the inside, that is the sprue. Some people call it a tree. These pieces that come off towards the part is called a runner, and the little bitty part that's attached to the actual part itself, that's the gate. How's that for useless information that you'll probably never use? But the nippers have very thin blades, and that's where you cut the gate away from the part, and then you trim the piece of gate off of the part. That way you don't leave any stress marks on the part. You never want to twist the parts off of the sprue because you can damage the part. But that's what the nippers are for. They have a thin blade. You probably can't see that through the plastic. You may be able to. They have a thin blade, so you can go in there and cut that gate from the part and then trim the rest of the gate off the part. I have this Tamiya set, but I also have a set of the king of all nippers, and that is the God Hand nippers. These, if you can find them in the U.S., which I have seen them for sale in the U.S., can run upwards of $60. I got these from Plaza Japan for about $40, I believe it was. They are very good quality. My opinion, I would rather spend a little more money and get a good quality tool and only have to buy it once than to buy cheap stuff and have to buy it several times. That's just me. There are different companies out there that make good quality stuff, but I've heard really good things about these. But I will say with both of these, you don't want to cut. The only thing you want to cut with these is the gate. You don't want to cut the heavy sprue and runners with those. They do have hardened tips and they're very sharp, but if you try to cut something too heavy with it, they will break. I have seen people break the ends off of the God Hands, and they probably cried a little bit after they did it. But good quality nippers is a must. Also tweezers. I have straight and angled tweezers here, and you will see Tamiya come up a lot on the stuff that I use, the basic tools that I use. Simply just, you can't beat the quality for the price. Tamiya makes really good stuff. Tamiya, however you pronounce it. There's several ways. But very good quality. The angled ones, now you can buy, I have a set that I use on my RC stuff that just came from the beauty supply section at probably drugstore or Walmart or something. And I use these on my RC stuff. These, there is a difference. These are not as stiff as the ones you get in the drugstore or beauty supply place. They're a little bit easier to work with for holding the small parts. Not very expensive. I've had these for a while. I can't remember what I paid for them. They weren't outrageously priced. But if you'll see on, even on this brood, you can see there are some little tiny parts in there. And your tweezers definitely come in handy for stuff like that. Also, if you're going to be doing painting, of course, paintbrushes. And again, I have some Tamiya's here, and some of these I ordered online, and a couple of them I picked up at a local hobby shop, which my local hobby shop specializes in, they're strictly RC. I don't really have a hobby shop around me that sells model kits and stuff like that, so that stuff I have to order. But he does have a few paintbrushes and stuff like that. You know, good quality paintbrushes if you're going to do a lot of painting. If you're going to do airbrushing, of course, you need an airbrush. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. This is a Mr. Hobby. Company used to be called Gunzy Sanyo. They changed to Mr. Hobby. This is the Pro Convoy double action platinum 0.3 needle. Very good airbrush. Great adjustability. Performs great. Several people recommended this airbrush to me, because I haven't used an airbrush for a while. It's been about 6 years. And they said this is a really good general purpose airbrush. I got this at spraygunner.com for just over $100. They had them on sale at the time I was looking. Once I check it out, use it, I'll let you know how it does. And if you're going to be airbrushing, especially a lot of small parts like with the Mobile Suit Gundam kits, I picked these up. These I got from Plaza Japan as well. They are Suji Burrito, and I probably said that wrong, but do what I can. These are just little alligator clips on little bamboo sticks. If you have to airbrush a lot of small parts, you hold on to the part, clip, airbrush it, put the little stick in a piece of foam and let it sit there till it dries. These I got, these are the same thing. The clips are a little bit larger. They are available in different sizes, small, medium, and large clips. These are Mr. Hobby as well. 36 of them in the bag. I got these in Virginia Beach at the Hobbytown, USA, while I was up there visiting some people. There's 36 of them in here. If I remember right, they're around $13. Now you can make these. You can buy the alligator clips in at any craft place, jewelry place like Hobby Lobby, places like that. And the bamboo sticks, you can get bamboo skewers at about any grocery store. It's like 100 of them for, you know, for a couple dollars. And so you can make your own. But I found the alligator clips that I bought a small bag. There's like 15 of them in a bag for a couple dollars. They're a little larger than these. I wanted these so for holding the smaller parts. So anyway, moving on. Of course, sanding. I do have a file set. This is just their basic file set. These come in pretty handy. Sanding. I got sanding sticks. 600, 800, 1000, and 1500. These are Infinity. These come from Korea. I ordered these from, where did I order these from? Micromark is where I got these. Fairly inexpensive. They have plastic piece down the center and then sponge and sanding on the outside. Very, very good. I also have some small God hand sanding sponges. 800 grit, 1000 grit. Now these don't have the plastic. These are are very flexible. You can bend them for getting inside little corners and around, round objects and stuff like that. 800 and 1,000. I also have Tamiya sanding sponge. 600, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and it's very similar to the God Hand sponge. It's just in a little square sheet. Fairly inexpensive. Most of what I do, I use the 800 grit. The others are more polishing, which I do have the God Hand little polishing sponges. Now these are 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, and 10,000 grit. So these are for polishing out. If you have something you want to remove a seam line, mold line, something like that, but you're not going to paint the part, then you can polish it back out after you remove that seam line. That's what those come in handy for. What else we got? Oh yeah, we got kind of stuff you don't have to have, but stuff that can come in handy depending on what you're doing. I have also from Tsujibori Do. This is mainly for the Mobile Suit Gundam, or panel line tools. I have a 0.4 millimeter and 0.2 millimeter blade and a couple handles. Excuse me. Tsujibori Do, yeah. Ordered these from USA Gundam Store, I believe it was. They sell out pretty quick once they get them in stock. I got lucky, managed to check out their website just at the right time after they restocked everything. Have not used them yet, but these were the only ones I could find that didn't have a curved blade. Now these do come in handy if you're building, like if you're building a model of a car. If you want to deepen the panel lines around the doors and stuff like that, you can deepen them. A lot of the older reissue kits, some of the details not as clean as it is on some of the newer kits, and this can help fix that. They are very sharp though. I also have some guide tape for the panel line tools for if you want to create panel lines where there are none. You just cut this, stick it on there, and it's like a guide edge for it. Also for doing paint washes, which we'll get into more later, I have a Mr. Hobby Mr. Clean Stick, and this is basically like a advanced technology in a cotton swab is basically what this is. I don't know how else to explain it, but a wash, like I have Tamiya panel line accent. If you have recesses, you want it to appear as though there's a shadow in that panel line, you put some of the wash in, and the Tamiyas, I believe those are enamel based, but I can't swear to it. Basically with this little sponge, any excess that is outside of that line where you want that shadow to be created with the wash, you dip this in a little bit of the proper thinner, and you can clean that up. And these are basically the same thing. These are basically like Q-tips, but they're packed a little bit tighter. They're not as loose as the cotton on the Q-tip, and these basically do the same thing that this does. And really, and if you're an old guy like me, something like this can come in pretty handy. And like I said, with some of the small parts, I had an older version of this, but it was so scratched up that it wasn't usable anymore. I ordered this, I believe I got this from Plaza Japan too. Places in the US wanted like $100 for this. I got it on Plaza Japan for just over $50. So even paying for the shipping from Japan, it was worth it. And this has 1.72 and 2.5 magnifiers. It's just like a little visor. And they do come in handy for painting fine details and stuff like that. And of course, you want to have, good lighting is an absolute must. If you're working somewhere where it's kind of dark, you want the area to be well lit. Like I said, keep you a small fan there to clear out fumes. If you're going to be airbrushing, if you don't have a booth, airbrush outside, man. You don't want to be breathing all that stuff in your house. I know, like the Gunze Sanyo, well, it used to be Gunze Sanyo, now it's Mr. Hobby. These are lacquer-based paint, and you don't want to spray these indoors without a booth, something to extract the fumes to the outside. You don't want to be breathing all that stuff, and I would recommend that you even wear a mask, even with the booth. Because, enjoy your hobby, but don't let it kill you, basically. Which, I'm not in charge of you. You do what you want. I can only tell you what I do. Now, I prefer a lacquer for metallic colors. They just look better to me. It's just my opinion. Now, I have... This is All Clad 2. This is her gloss black base. When you spray metallics, you want to spray them over a gloss black base. They're going to look much brighter. Just better overall look to them than spraying them over just straight plastic or another primer. If you're spraying bright colors like red, you want to use a pink primer. Pink primers can be kind of hard to find, but you can find white primers and just put a couple drops of red paint in them. Just make sure that they're compatible. And other than that, it's really all you need. I do keep a set of small scissors around for cutting decals, but you can cut them out with your hobby knife. And really, that's it. I do keep also some Tamiya putty, and this is just basic modeling putty for filling gaps and seams when there's ones that aren't supposed to be there. And really, that's all you need. You don't need all of this stuff that I have, but like I said, I did this for many, many years. Some of the stuff I have is stuff that's been laying around here. Back in the closet in my hobby room, and I kind of unpacked some of it when I was asked about the Mobile Suit Gundam kits. I have a few of those kits here. We'll go over where I'm going to start. I've never built one. I have a couple perfect grades, a couple master grades, and a real grade. The real grade was sent to me by my friends in Japan. And we'll go over where I'm going to start with that. I'll start with one. I probably won't do a lot of painting on it because I've never built one. I want to kind of see how they work, how they go together. I know there's no glue. They're all pretty much slip, snap, and click together. Really amazing technology in them from what I've seen. But we'll get into each individual category at another time. So until then, later.